I consider this a holy convocation. You're standing on the very ground where the jail was. You understand that? This is where the courthouse was. That's the church that was being built that they got the beam from to break the jail door down with. So this is a great gathering here today, and I'm honored to speak here. And I thank God that I'm here as a part of this. Because this bloodshed needs to be brought to an end in our nation.
Yes.
It's an honor to stand where men stood against injustice 150 plus years ago and call upon men in our day to do the same.
Amen.
Today in America, most people think that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of everything that is constitutional or unconstitutional. I'm here to tell you it's a bald-faced lie.
Come on.
Our founders viewed it as something quite the opposite of what the lawyers have proffered for themselves in this country. This idea that they're the final arbiter. Truth is, our founders viewed the judiciary not as the strongest, nor did they view them as the final arbiter. Rather, the founders stated that the judiciary is supposed to be the most helpless, the most harmless, the weakest, the least dangerous to the Constitution. And of course, all that's been turned on its head now. Now all the other branches bow down to the judiciary and act as though we should stand by while babies are being butchered just because the Supreme Court said so, denying their duty. If that's the case, America has thrown off a monarchy and replaced it with an oligarchy.
Come on, man.
We now have social transformation without representation. Jefferson warned of it 200 years ago when he saw the judiciary begin their walk of despotism. He said to an early judicial supremacist, Jefferson said, "You seem to consider the judges as the final arbiters of all constitutional questions. A very dangerous doctrine indeed, and one which would place us under the despotism of an oligarchy." He went on to state, "The Constitution has erected no such single tribunal, knowing that to whatever hands confided with the corruptions of time and party, its members would become despots." And that is what the Supreme Court is in the United States.
That's true.
They are despots. And they are not the final arbiters. As Jefferson stated, the Constitution has erected no such single tribunal. Now men will forbear, and so we should, but there comes a point where forbearance becomes sin. There comes a point where forbearance becomes cowardice. There comes a point when men realize that we no longer have the convenience of acting indifferent towards the unjust and immoral actions of our government. And I submit to you that the lawlessness of the judiciary should not be forborne. I submit to you that the murder of the preborn should not be forborne.
Amen.
The men of 1859 were different than the men of our day. In our day, every governor bows down and bends over to the judiciary as they intermeddle with every aspect of our internal policy in states. They accommodate murder, they accommodate the perversion of marriage, and they'll accommodate boys in the girls' shower rooms too. But the men of 1859 were of a different caliber. The legislators and the Supreme Court justices of our state of 1859 understood their duty. They confronted the federal tyrant, the beast that it was and that it is, and reminded him that his authority has limits.
Yes.
And the duty of our state officials in our day is no different. Their duty is not to accommodate or bow down, but to interpose for the preborn. The men of 1859 not only declared in the resolution that the unjust and immoral Federal Fugitive Slave Act was without authority, void, and of no force in the state of Wisconsin, but they openly checked the federal tyranny by stating resolved that the government formed by the Constitution of the United States was not the exclusive or final judge of the extent of the powers delegated to itself, but that as in all other cases of compact, and that is what the Constitution is, a compact of the states, the federal government, among parties having no common judge, each party has an equal right to judge for itself.
Come on.
And that is what our state magistrates should do. They should see that this ruling of Roe v. Wade regarding the Supreme Court is not right according to the Constitution, and they should uphold their oath that they took for the Constitution and defy the federal judiciary.
Yes, sir.
The Supreme Court is the tyrant. They are lawless. We are under the despotism of an oligarchy, and this lawless authoritarianism of the federal courts must be broken, and it will only be broken by the interposition of the state magistrates. May God help us. May the Lord help our magistrates. May God help us to demand of our magistrates that they do right, and that we rally with them when they do. May Christ our Lord be praised in the earth. God bless you.
Amen.